Welcome to Tiny Rails, the fun game with a train. And this is my train going past. I'm currently doing the Oceania quest, and in the last episode I picked up my old rival Blackwell and put my cage on my train in the far right corner of Russia, and I was to take him to Melbourne in Australia. Since the last episode I haven't taken any detours, I've just basically gone from Russia to Australia, so I should be coming into Melbourne. And here I am. So no one's tried to steal him off me along the way, so we'll see what happens. Blackwell, are we there yet? What is he, a 4-year-old child? Quiet, Blackwell, I won't tell you again. Not much for conversation, are you? The cage is holding up nicely. Yeah, Dimitri is a great craftsman. I don't think anything could break of that. And shouldn't there be break out of that? I suspect that Blackwell is going to escape, and I'm going to spend the rest of the Oceania quest chasing him around Australia, or Australia and the general area. Hank, wait! Do you hear that? Is that hissing? I don't know. That's not a normal noise the train would make. Do you smell? It's some kind of gas. Looks like my ride is here. Have a good nap, Nika dear. Nika doesn't say much. Sorry, Mr. Blackwell, but you'll be resting a bit too. All clear, Ms. Kraus. Ladies, use the Magnum plasma cutters to free Mr. Blackwell, if you please. What's our next move, Ms. Kraus? All I care about is fulfilling my part of the deal and destroying whatever incriminating evidence he had against me. Okay, so it looks like Blackwell has escaped. Let me find the right map, collect my reward. Oceania Chapter 1 complete. Yes, now I have to make a stop at Perth. Like I said, I figured I'm going to be chasing around Australia. Blackwell is on the loose. Can the crew stop him before he creates the ultimate transportation technology? Well, I know where Perth is. A, because I've done a lot of quests in Australia, but B, because I lived there. And I've been to Perth. As we're on our way to Ballarat. Great, I'm going to clear a log in the way. And pick up a load of junk. In the last episode, I did say I suspected that I would have fully upgraded these cars before the next episode. I was wrong. They're well on their way to being upgraded, but they're not there yet. Right, I don't need the milk. I don't need the surfboards, I don't need the cheddar cheese. This much I know. I've spent a lot of time in Australia in this game. Everything else I've got I could actually use. And I could do with the ice creams and the pumpkins for other places in the world. So we head off towards Mildura. I need to clean my train. And maintain it. And now collect on all the jobs I've just completed. I now have over 3 million in cash available. Not that I'm planning on spending on anything anytime soon. And I still need to go places to empty my depot out because it's pretty much full. Which is not ideal. Right, that gets me 10 jobs for my job board. But most of the stuff that's in, I'll zoom out slightly, Australia East, I don't need. Apart from pumpkins and ice cream I need for Southeast Asia, pumpkins I need for somewhere in China. There's some stuff in Australia West which is still useful, but as I say, my depot is full and my train's getting close to being full. So whilst I will take the pumpkins here, because I really want to fulfill the requirement for one of the stations in China, which requires pumpkins, lots of them. I can't remember how many. Let me do a quick check. Nope, can't remember. Didn't even make a quick note of it, but I have a vague idea of where in China they need to go. And as I say, ice cream is needed in Southeast Asia, and I can pick up ice cream either in Australia or Australia East, or I can pick it up in Alaska. So, two opposite corners of the world, apparently. At least according to a map. The world being ball-shaped. I also need vanilla, but I really don't want to carry anything. I need vanilla, jackfruit, and almonds for various things. But I really don't want to carry anything else. So we'll just keep going via Adelaide, another place I've been. Very nice. I like Adelaide. I was actually living and working in Sydney, Australia. But if I'd had a choice, I would have happily moved to Adelaide. It is an absolutely beautiful place with a really, really lovely population. I believe there's a large German-based population there. But it's just really beautiful place. And everybody was very, very friendly. I'll just go straight through Portalgusta. I say I'm not planning on picking up cargo as I chase around Australia after Blackwell. You may notice my natural speed in Australia is 272 miles an hour, and if I give it a speed boost, I get it all the way up to 341 miles an hour. It's a bonus from this engine and this train configuration whilst in Oceania. The day is dawning. 7:41 AM. Thankfully in the game there are no major bushfires going on. But most people who go to Australia frequently end up in Sydney or in Alice Springs, normally via Sydney, because that's where the major airport for most airlines is that come into Australia. And Sydney is growing at a huge rate every year. The rest of Australia not so much. Most of the population is all around the coast, all the way around Australia. The centre of Australia is very sparsely populated. But Sydney's it's kind of like London, New York. It's a cosmopolitan city with all sorts of nationalities there. However, you go to places like Adelaide and some of the other cities, Melbourne not so much, but Adelaide being a good example, you tend to run into what you can generally term as the native Australians. They're not the Aboriginal Australians, the original people of Australia, but the descendants of the earlier settlers. I don't know why I looked at the market, because I'm not going to pick up anything. That was silly of me, but okay. Yep, and here we go to Cocklebiddy. They do have some nice names for places in Australia. But it is a really lovely country. I can highly recommend visiting it and visiting places outside of Sydney. Sydney being the general place where people go, because it's got Bondi Beach, the Opera House, Sydney Harbour, the Sydney Tower, I forget what that one's called, and it's near the Blue Mountains, which has another beautiful part. It's a beautiful part of the world to visit. Katoomba, and well, a beautiful part of the world to visit, assuming they put the fires out by that point in the Blue Mountains. It's got the Three Sisters, beautiful waterfalls, absolutely lovely part of the world, the Blue Mountains. However, the other parts of Australia, except in Canberra, that was the one place I visited I wasn't impressed with. But except in Canberra, the other parts of Australia are definitely worth visiting. They're a bit more off the tourist track, but some of them have lovely beaches, some of them are just lovely places. So if you're ever in that part of the world, I can highly recommend visiting Australia and visiting places other than Sydney. there again, I'm slightly biased because I lived in Sydney. So I saw a lot of Sydney, and yes, you can do the tourist tours, the bus tours, and go to Bondi Beach and various other places. And you can even, as I did, because I had friends come and visit me, and I figured, what the hell, we'll do the tourist things. You get on one of their wonderful tour buses, and they give you a history of why, various architecture, so the history of Bondi Beach, why stuff is famous, yada yada yada. But Sydney's just it's another city. The other places go up the Gold Coast, beautiful part of the world. It's just generally a really lovely, absolutely lovely country to visit, with some absolutely wonderful people. They're very, very friendly. I just need to get some more jobs before I continue on my trek to track down Blackwell. That was another one that just completed, so I need to replace that one too. As we now leave Cocklebiddy onto Esperance. Now looks like my train needs a clean. And I must admit, having been to Bondi Beach a couple of times, I much prefer... Oh, I'm trying to remember the name of the area where I was living. Oh god, just north of the harbour. Yep, completely and utterly forgotten. Yeah. And I lived in Forestville, which was near Fench's Forest, but there's a suburb and a beach area near there. Manly Beach. That's why I actually stayed in a hotel the first 4 weeks I was in Australia, right on Manly Beach. I don't know why I keep visiting markets. There's no point. But yes, Manly Beach is far nicer, as far as I'm concerned, than Bondi is. There again, the northern part of Sydney, above the harbour, is a beautiful, really nice part of Sydney. Southern Sydney, not so much, and the further inland you go, the less attractive it is. Because, let's face it, the nicer places are closer towards the coast. But taking a ferry across from Manly to Sydney Central is a good fun thing to do. I did it as basically as a commuter for a little while, for various reasons, for going in and out of the city. Getting the Manly ferry. Traffic and parking is a nightmare in Sydney, admittedly. But they have a really good public transport system of buses and trains. As I head towards Perth, which is my destination. So you really don't need to drive much in Sydney if you don't want to. It's like every major city. London, New York, etc. They cater for visitors. So they have a decent public transport. The buses are clean, efficient. They actually run on time. Yep, there's nothing about Sydney, or Melbourne for that matter, which I found particularly bad. Yes, if you've ever seen the... again, I'm terrible with names. The TV series about the Melbourne Gangland Wars, or Underbelly, that's the name of it. Underbelly and the other Underbellies stuff. Okay, here we are with the quest. Valerie! Ugh! What? My head! What happened? Nika, Blackwell is gone. We've had a security breach. Who could possibly have known about the transport? Maybe some elite spy was watching us the entire time. I know one spy that would fit that bill. Monica. The thief we crossed paths with in South America? Well, I haven't been to South America yet, so that's technically not true. Why would she be tied up in this? Money? Anything from your superiors, Nika? My superiors have no idea where Blackwell is. You need to do some detective work while I go back to Ottawa. I think I know a guy who can help us find a lead. Justin? Exactly, and to find Justin we need to find Nestor. He is teaching at the University of Chicago. Exactly, we can drop Nika off in Ottawa, then head on to Chicago. Okay, looks like I'm not going to be running around Australia. I don't know why I had to go to Perth in that case. But I've now got to go back to Ottawa. I thought I was going to spend part of the Oceania quest running around Oceania. Apparently I'm wrong. Okay, let me set my destination to the Oceania East port. I'm not going to head straight back to Ottawa, but I will head towards the port because, as I keep mentioning, my depot is basically 4 items away from being completely full, and my train is 20 items away from being completely full. So I need to go around and deliver a load of cargo to various places so I can empty stuff out. And I can actually have some space so I can collect more cargo. Because, well, that's what I do. Kind of like a semi-hoarder. I keep collecting stuff knowing I'll need it at some point, and then all of a sudden I run out of space, and then I think, oh my god, I've got to run around and deliver a load of stuff so I can get some more space so I can do some more hoarding. Yes, it's a character flaw. But as I was saying, yes, Melbourne, if you've ever seen the TV series Underbelly, or the various incarnations of Underbelly, which it also went into Sydney and the red light district gambling area of Sydney, I think King's Cross I think it's called, that area, then there are criminals in both places, and the police force back in the good old days was hardly the most uncorrupt. However, the gangland wars around Carl Williams and the Carlton crew is pretty much over these days. Carl Williams currently being deceased, someone killed him in prison, and what's his name, Tony Mockbar, so recently got stabbed in prison I believe. Mockbow, the guy that ran away and they caught him in Greece. Sort of the major drug dealers of Melbourne, or one of the major drug dealers of Melbourne. Oh, Calgary. Again, I don't know why I bothered going to the market. I know I can't buy anything. I haven't got the space. So, well, this episode is going to be slightly shorter than the last one, because all I'm going to do now is get from Western Australia. No point in going to my depot because I haven't got room on my train right now. I'm going to catch a boat even. I'm going to end up at this port because I forget which station it is. I've actually got some fuel, so I'll use that. Is it not Hyderabad? Bhopal, I think. Yep. Needs a bit of some of the ice cream I've got. And there's a depot just there. And a couple of other bits I can drop off over here. That one's jade. That one's amber. I'm carrying a load of amber. But again, I'll have access to my depot, so I can just pop in and out my depot and fulfill a load of stuff. Plus I've got to do another 11,000 miles in that area. So I might as well spend a bit of time doing that while dropping off cargo. And I'll see where I end up from there, but I'm probably going to go back through this area into Africa, because I got places like not Tobruk, Benghazi and Alexandria. I need to drop off a load of Russian building bricks, the things that look like Tetris pieces, as well as other cargo I can drop off in Africa. I've got a depot down here as well somewhere, so I can get to my depot and go in and out my depot, fulfilling cargo requirements, various bits and pieces around this area, maybe build a station or two. So that's what I'm going to spend some time doing between now and the next episode, which means that definitely when I come back to the next episode, these cars will be fully upgraded. That much I can guarantee. Okay, well I'm going to shut up now because all you're going to see me do now is head from station to station as I head back across Australia to the boat. So, unfortunately, it wasn't as interesting as I hoped. I thought I'd be running around Australia chasing Blackwell down, but apparently not so much. And they keep referring to people who I haven't met. Nesta, Monica, who is the thief, but I supposedly met in South America, a country or a continent I haven't been to yet. So they're a bit out of sync with the story there. However, it's definitely different. Okay. As always, I hope you enjoyed to one degree or another. And hopefully I'll see you down the track for more tiny rails in the near future. Cheerio for now.